Hi, team, and welcome to today's call. So today we're going to be talking about the food scale and why the scale, it's literally your secret weapon if you want to see real results. I know some of you guys are aware, scared about using the food scale. I know it's something that it may not seem like the best idea to use, but when it comes to your fitness journey, especially to your fat loss journey, this is going to be very, very important. So let's get started talking about why do so many people, or maybe this is you right now, why do you fear using the scale to weigh your food? Many reasons, plenty of reasons. And some of you guys told me this when we had our initial call. Reason number one, maybe you're telling yourself or you tell me, Danny, I really don't want to become obsessed with a scale. I really don't want to be one of those people that takes the scale with them everywhere and they weigh everything that they eat. Like it's too much. I don't want to become obsessed. Fear number two that you might be having right now is that you don't want to feel that you're too restricted with the things that you're eating. You tell yourself, I want to eat normally. I just want to eat normal without worrying about weighing my food, and I just don't want to be strict. So that's the second fear that you may be having right now. Fear number three, maybe you're telling yourself it's just one more thing to worry about. It's just too much work. It's too much hassle. I don't want to be taking my scale out every single time I eat, every single time I have my snack, my breakfast, my lunch, my dinner. It's just too much work. Danny, I really don't want to do it. I really don't want to spend extra time. I'm already prepping my meals. I don't want to spend that extra time eating my food. Or reason number four, maybe telling yourself, I'm not a bodybuilder, which, I understand, I'm not a bodybuilder. What's the point? Like, I just don't need to use a scale. My only goal is to drop body fat or gain muscle mass. So I just really don't see the point, Danny. Like, what the hell is the point? And I get it. I get where you're coming from. But something that I want you to understand is that a scale or the scale doesn't create that obsession. The scale is not the problem. If for whatever reason you were to become obsessed with the scale, it's just something, it's a thing. This is not the obsession. But your mindset is the thing that creates the obsession if you become obsessed. But that's only under your control. And that's something we're going to discuss shortly. First thing I want you to do is that I want you to change this mindset. I want you to change this thought when it comes to using the scale to use your food to help you with your fat loss journey. Especially if this is something that you've never used in the past, or maybe you have only used that for a very short period of time. Why do you believe or why do you assume that you're gonna get obsessed straight away with using the scale? It's like you saying or you telling yourself, if I start going to the gym, then I'm gonna become obsessed with lifting weights. Or if I start going for a run, I'm gonna become obsessed with running. That's just your mindset. That's just you assuming something that's gonna happen. That's just you assuming something that hasn't even happened. So you're not gonna really become obsessed with that. It's just you assuming something. And that fear often comes when we don't understand something. So it's, imagine that first time that you were learning how to drive. Learning how to drive can be very, very scary because your mind always tells you, or it's thinking like, what if I crash? What if I don't know how to stop? What if I kill someone? What if I hit someone? What if this? What if that? And it's that fear because you don't know how to drive. But once you start learning how to drive, it just becomes easier. And then those fears become slower or smaller and smaller and smaller. And then they boom, disappear. And then once you learn how to drive, you don't even think about it. It becomes second nature. You just get into the car, turn the car on, and then you know how to drive, you know how to stop, you know how to do everything. It's the exact same thing with using the scale to weigh your food. At first, you don't know. At first, you have that fear because you don't know how this is going to help you. You don't have much understanding about this. But once you learn the why and once you learn how to use it, it becomes that second nature. And then you're like, okay, this is the reason why using the scale was actually very important. So the scale is not a problem. It's mainly how you think about it. That's the actual problem. And also you got to remember that you are the one in control, not the scale. The scale is just an object. It's literally not doing anything. But your mindset, that's a problem. Okay, but now let's talk about what happens when you don't use the scale. And this is what might be happening to some of you guys. Even though you have the structure with a meal plan, with workouts, you're putting in the work. If you're not being accurate with how much you're eating, if we're not using the scale, you're simply going to be eating healthy, or you're going to tell yourself, yeah, I'm eating healthy, but I'm not seeing results. I'm not seeing the changes that I want to see. Like, what's happening? I'm eating so healthy. I'm drinking my water. I'm doing this. I'm doing that, but I'm not seeing changes. What's happening? You're gonna start guessing portions, and you're also gonna start overeating because you're gonna assume that, okay, this is healthy, then I can eat more of this, especially now I'm hungry. I can eat more of this. I'm just gonna add a little bit more protein, a little bit more chicken, a little bit more steak, a little bit more of this, more of that. You're just gonna guess your portions. You're just gonna eyeball because, without the scale, you don't really have much understanding what 100 grams of, let's say, chicken looks like, or 150 grams of rice looks like. You're just guessing things. You're gonna feel like you're doing everything. You're gonna feel like you're doing so much, but you're not seeing the changes. And there's absolutely nothing more frustrating than that. You're gonna feel like you're training, you're eating clean, you're eating healthy, you're going for your walks, you're drinking your water, you're literally doing the right things, but you're not getting the results that you want. And you're gonna get to the point that you're gonna feel so confused that you're not, why am I not seeing the changes? And you're gonna start blaming yourself. And you're gonna start thinking that maybe it's just my genetics, or maybe it's just the way that my body's meant to be. I'm never gonna change. Maybe, there's something wrong with me. You're even gonna start thinking that there's something wrong with you. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. I promise you, nothing wrong with you. The only wrong thing that you're doing is that you're just not being accurate with the portions that you're eating. And portions are literally everything. And this is not about having the willpower to use the scale or having the willpower to lose that body fat. It's more about precision. If we don't have that precision, it's going to be very, very, very hard to see the changes that we want to see because we're going to keep eyeballing, we're going to keep guessing, estimating, assuming, and we're not going to be exact with how much we're eating. I want you to think about it this way. Think about, when you get an infection, when you get sick and you go to the doctors, what happens? The doctor tells you exactly what you have. Then they prescribe you a medication. They give you an exact dose of that medication. And then they tell you you need to take this twice a day for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever time frame they give you. And then you know that they give you that exact medication with those exact measurements because that's exactly what your body needs, right? And then after 3 weeks, what happens? Put it on the chat. What happens? Exactly. You get better, right? You get better because the doctor told you, have this, you get better, and then you move on with your life. You feel happy, you feel healthy. And it's the exact same thing with food and with your fitness journey. If you have that very specific goal, which is losing body fat, you have to be very specific with the things that you're doing. And that's where the scale comes in place. That's why we have to use the scale, be exact, be precise, so we can see the changes that we want to see physically. And also, it's going to help us learn more about portion sizes. So, why is this important? Why is the scale important? Because it's more about precision, and precision gives you power. And this is also going to give you the results that you want. We want data. We don't want drama. We don't want to be thinking, overthinking, why is this working? Why is it not working? Is it me? Blaming yourself, blaming your genetics, blaming your parents, blaming everyone else. We don't want that drama. We just want the data. If we have the data, it's easier to work with that. It's easier to know, okay, this is working, perfect. This is not working. Okay, here are the changes that we're going to make. Here's, we're going to adjust the calories. We're going to adjust the portion sizes. And it's just much, much, much easier to be able to see the changes that we want to see. Obviously, data is not everything, but it plays a big role. Second thing, why this precision with the scale or why using the scale is important, it's because it's going to help you learn. It's going to help you understand how much your body actually needs. Know what social media is telling you, know what that girl on TikTok is telling you, or know what that nutritionist tell you. I'm a nutritionist, and it annoys me when you go to see a nutritionist and they tell you, yeah, have this much of protein, have this much of carbs, have this much of fats. That's just guessing and estimating. Yes, it does help you be healthy, but if we have a specific goal like fat loss, we have to be very specific with the measurements that we have. Reason number 3, it helps you take the control of your results because we have that data. And if we're being precise with everything that we're doing, we have the control. We're not guessing and hoping that hopefully I lose weight. Hopefully I can see the changes. We don't hope. We know that we're going to get them because we know that we're doing the exact same things. Oh, sorry, the right things to help us get those results. And we just stop guessing. We stop guessing, we stop eyeballing, we stop assuming, we start learning. And once we start learning, it just makes it easier for us to see those changes. Another thing, or another way I want you to think about this, I want you to think about the food scale. Think about, when you travel from point A to point B. Let's say you're going from Auckland to Hamilton, okay? You're using GPS because you don't know the way, so you use the GPS. Imagine if you were to put a blindfold in your eyes and then try to drive using your GPS, try to drive from Auckland to Hamilton blindfolded. And you will just hopefully I get there safely. I don't think that will work, right? You will crash 100%. You will cause a lot of accidents, and it wouldn't be a fun experience at all. When you want to drive, you don't put anything on your eyes because you want to be able to see exactly where you're going. You want to be able to see that GPS so I can give you the location, so you know exactly what route to take, go straight and right, whatever. And then you get from point A to point B safely because you can see exactly where you're going. Again, exact same thing with your fitness journey, with your fat loss journey. If we use the scale, then we can see exactly what's working, what's not working. We can drop the weight and get the results that we want. So what are some things that we're going to learn from this? Before I keep going, put a number 2 on the Zoom chat, just so I know you guys are still paying attention, okay? Put a number 2 on the Zoom chat. I can see a few people joining. Yeah, so number 2 on the Zoom chat, just to make sure that you guys are paying attention. Okay, cool. You're still there. Okay, so what are you going to learn using the food scale? This is going to teach you true portion sizes. So you're going to have a better understanding of, again, what 100 grams of rice looks like, or 150 grams, 120 grams of protein, or chicken, sorry. This is roughly 20 grams of protein. That will give you much better understanding. It's going to teach you and help you to eat more mindfully. Because once you learn the portions that work for you and your body type, it's easier to be more mindful with what we're eating, especially when we're going out. Obviously, you don't want to be using the scale or taking the scale with you everywhere you go. So let's say on the weekends, you go to your friend's birthday, they're going to have a barbecue. Once you have a better understanding of your portion size, then when you go to your friend's barbecue, it's going to be much easier for you to get the plate, put your steak, put your rice, potato, whatever they're cooking. And you will know roughly, okay, this is my usual size of carbs, protein, fat, veggies, and it just makes you feel that you're more in control. And it makes you feel better about your journey. It also teaches you that you don't need to cut out any food groups. If we want to lose body fat, we just don't have to remove anything at all. I know that many times we feel like we need to remove carbs if we want to drop body fat, or we need to remove or decrease the amount of fats that we're having if we want to lose body fat. But it's not like that. We need protein, we need carbohydrates, we need fats, we need every single macronutrient if we want to see the changes. If we don't have enough of one or the other, the balance is going to be imbalanced. And that's when you're going to start feeling hungry, you're going to start craving, you're going to be maybe binging because you're restricting yourself. So yeah, it teaches you not to cut out food groups. It's just having a good portion, good amount for yourself so you can see the changes. And also teaches you that you can lose weight without starving. Starving, it's never the answer. And I don't know about you guys, but I used to starve myself when I started with my fitness journey. Back then, there was no way I would use the scale. I was just, eyeballing everything, trying plenty of diets, trying plenty of things, and starving was one of them. Obviously, it's not fun when you're doing it, but you just assume and you think or you hope that, yeah, if I starve myself and I stop eating, I'm going to drop that body fat and get the results that I want. And maybe it works for a little bit, but it's not sustainable. It's not a forever thing. And I know of you guys, before you joined the program, you tried plenty of diets, and one of them was, starving, fasting, starving, not eating, not having enough food, not having enough carbohydrates. And that's why you were stuck. And that's why you were not getting the results that you wanted to get. So using the scale, using the food scale, it helps you build awareness with what you're eating, not what you're eating, but mainly how much you're eating. It doesn't mean you're restricting yourself. You're just being more aware of the portions that you're having and the portions that work for you, your body type, and also for your goals. When you're traveling or when you're going out on the weekends to see your family, to your friends, out for dinner with your partner, with your friends, etc. When you're away, when you're not home, you don't need to be perfect. And we don't need to be taking the scale with us everywhere we go. Again, it's just a tool to help you learn more about portion sizes, to help you drop body fat, but it's not something that you have to have with you all the time, okay? Once you have been doing this for a while, then it's going to be much easier for you to then start eyeballing. So you don't want to be eyeballing straight away after just 1 week of using the scale. Once you have a little bit more practice, a little bit more experience, it's going to become easier to eyeball your portions. Exact same thing when you learn how to drive. At the start, you're not the best, you're not the best driver, but once you start driving for a little bit longer, then yeah, it becomes like second nature. Also, it's going to help you to focus on balance. When you don't have the scale, you know your portion sizes, so you can have a bit of balance with the things that you're eating, with the things that you're having. And that way you can still stay on track and at the same time still enjoy your holiday, your time away. When you come back on track. And also it helps you to eat the way that you will normally eat, but without the scale. Again, because you have a better understanding and you have more awareness of how much you should be eating. The scale, it's not something that you're going to be using for the rest of your life. It's just a phase of learning. Just like when you first learn how to speak English, if you are not from here, or when you first learn a different language, when you first learn how to drive, when you first learn something, you have a phase of learning before you become a pro at that thing, right? Exact same thing with your fat loss journey. Exact same thing with your fitness. It's not different at all. But here's the thing. Once you have that awareness, once you have that confidence around portion sizes, how much you're eating, and once you're better eyeballing your portions with your protein, your carbs, just everything, it's up to you if you want to keep using the scale or not. Okay, so that's something you're gonna decide, or it's gonna be your choice. No one's gonna force you, no one's gonna tell you, yeah, you have to, that's your choice. But it will just take time to get to that place. But once you get to that place, yeah, it's your choice. Up to you if you want to use it, or up to you if you don't want to use it. You're the one in control, not a scale. For me personally, I like to use the scale. I feel like it gives me more control. I like to be accurate with how much I'm putting into my body. I've been doing this for so many years now. Like, I'm really good at eyeballing my portions by now, but I still like to have that accuracy with the scale. When I travel, when I go out on the weekends or during the week, I don't take the scale with me at all. Again, I've been doing this for a long time, so I can really eyeball my portions. And it's just easier. It's just easier because it gives you that control when you travel, when you're away, that you know that the amount of food that you're eating, it's the amount that should be for you. And it's the amount that's going to help you stay on track with your fitness goals. So just some final words before we go. The scale, it's not a forever thing. Once you learn how to use it, once you're more aware of how everything works, then up to you if you want to use it or not. But we need that phase of learning to help us see the results we want to see. It's only for a short period of time, but it's going to change the way that you eat forever. Literally, it's going to give you that awareness, and that's exactly what we want. Using that scale is just like using those training wheels when you learn how to ride a bike. When you're a baby, first time you're learning how to ride a bike, you have those training tiny wheels at the back so you can get the balance. Once you have a bit of balance, then you can remove the training wheels and off you go. You can just, ride the bike. Exact same thing with your fitness journey, exact same thing with the scale. Once you have the awareness, you don't need that scale anymore. Remember, once again, you're not obsessed with the scale. A scale, you don't become obsessed with that. The only thing is that you're committed. You want to see the goals, and that's a good thing. That's what we're here for, because we want to achieve those fat loss goals, those fitness goals. And you're not restricting yourself when you use the scale. You're just being more informed. You're being more aware of how much you are having. The scale is not your enemy. It's just that little tool that you need to help you get to that next level, to help you get and see the results that you want to see. If you keep doing the same thing that you've been doing the past few months, the past few years, the same thing that you know that is not giving you the results that you want, what do you think is going to happen? You're simply going to get stuck, right? You're simply going to stay where you are. Nothing's going to change. And you're only just going to keep getting more and more and more frustrated because absolutely nothing is working. The scale, again, it's not your enemy. It's just a tool that we need to help us see the results. So I hope you guys, after the school, you keep using the scale and you're not afraid. Yeah, you don't get afraid of using that scale. It's just a tool. It's a tool, nothing else. We need that data. We need to be more precise, because being more precise with how much we're eating is what's going to give us that power that we want and the results that we want. So just a quick recap. One of the main reasons why you might be scared right now of using the scale, because you think that you're going to be, or you fear that you're going to become obsessed. You feel the fear that you're restricting yourself too much. You fear that it's just going to take too much time, it's too much hassle, or you fear that, I'm not a bodybuilder. Why should I use this? But the scale, it's a tool, okay? What happens when you don't use the scale? You're simply not going to see the changes you want to see. You're going to estimate, guess your portions. That's going to help you. You're going to get to the point where you feel frustrated, annoyed, and you're going to start blaming yourself or start blaming your genetics. You're going to think that there's something wrong with you because you're doing everything, but you're not seeing the changes that you want to see. Scale is not about willpower. It's about precision with the things that we're doing. Once we have that precision, then we can see the changes that we want. We're going to learn how much we should be eating. We're going to take control of our results because we are being very accurate with what we're doing. We're going to stop guessing and we're going to start learning a little bit more.